I'm Dionne Miller from ABC7, and you're listening to Brags in the Stands.
He's back! Let's go! Bear down!
The Bears, they started this new tradition last year where they celebrate their wins the correct way.
Bottle and Sylvie, ESPN 1000, don't miss it.
I know what you mean.
It's like their own Philly.
Okay. Okay, I think what it is.
We shouldn't be showing this. Am I crazy?
What a great sign that is. What have I told you? 17 minutes of rain would wash away 108 years of drought.
Do you see this team growing into the team that you were in 2005?
Great claps, everybody.
You are ridiculous.
ladies and gentlemen. He is back. That's right. Money Mitch is back on the scene. You thought he was done? You thought it was the last you'd see with him here with the Chicago Bears, but nope. Mitchell Trubisky back under center. QB1 this Sunday night. Bears versus Packers. Sunday Night Football on my birthday. What a birthday gift Mitch could give me. We all know I'm the biggest Mitchell Trubisky fan in the world, right? So yes, I am excited. And yes, I am your host, Greg Braggs Jr. And this is my co-host, producer, and graphic design extraordinaire, Jacob Hovanek. And this is Braggs in the Stands. And we're excited tonight. You know, I'm excited personally. I know it's silly. I know the season is over.
Because you're excited.
I'm glad that you're excited because I'm excited. Because you know what? I called for it on the post-game show, the last one we did. And I understand there's bigger things at stage, which we're going to get to tonight. But to me, if they didn't put in Mitchell Trubisky this Sunday night, I almost had no use in watching. They're playing the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers averages 30 points a game. The chances of them winning this game are slim. If they had trotted Nick Foles out there, I would have picked the Bears to lose 35-3. No questions asked. I wouldn't even have thought twice about it. At least now there is a little bit, a modicum of intrigue into this game. For me, I am interested to see how Mitch bounces back after being permanently benched. Not a little benching like he saw last year against the Rams, a permanent benching. Let's see how he responds to that. I want to see how Mitch Trubisky responds to Bill Lazor calling him plays. You know, we all want to see what's wrong with this team. They took the quarterback out, the team got worse. Nagy took his play calling duties off the play sheet, and it pretty much was the same. Now let's move to Mitch with Bill Lazor, start getting Mitch Trubisky under center, rolling him out of shotgun, and see if that works. When you're playing as bad as the Chicago Bears have played for the last month, you have to throw anything against the wall that sticks. And I understand there are a lot of Bears fans that want to lose out. I was there 2 weeks ago. I'm ready to lose out. Fine. But to me, the team, the players, that's not how they operate. So if you're going to try to win, try being the operative word with this team, then you better put in Mitchell Trubisky this Sunday. I don't care about health. You know, I want Nick Foles to get healthy, obviously, but if he was 100% healthy, they better have moved to Mitchell Trubisky in this game. I almost would have rather have seen Nick Foles completely healthy, and I do think they're using his hip injury as a little bit of a, you know, buffer to move to Mitch Trubisky without Matt Nagy admitting that he made a big mistake by moving to Nick Foles. So I don't know, you know, but for me, Jake, I'd love to ask you before we get into our main topics, do you think that the benching of Mitch Trubisky was a good thing? Because I'm going to set it up by asking, by prefacing by saying they were 2-0. But to me, the reason I ask that is it a good thing? Because you could say maybe no, because maybe they have a better record than 5-5 right now had they not benched him, because it has gotten a lot worse. Or you could say yes, because Mitch Trubisky was benched, and now you've gotten more clarity on Matt Nagy, on the offensive line, on everything else that maybe a Bears fan wasn't sure about because they wanted to put most of the onus on the quarterback. Where do you stand when it comes to the initial benching of Mitchell Trubisky now that we're back to him here Sunday night against the Green Bay Packers? Do you think it was a good thing that Matt Nagy had benched him?
No, not really. I think if I'm Matt Nagy, I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing as a Bears fan that it happened in a way because, like I had mentioned to you earlier, I think we were just having a casual conversation, but I think it exposed Nagy a little bit more, and he was unable to use Mitch as his scapegoat for this, that, or the other when it comes to his play calling and all that, and just the offensive success that they had in general. So I think it was a good thing for the franchise and the fans to see what they had and their head coach not having Richard Trubisky as their starter. But I don't think it was the best thing for the team necessarily. I don't think the Bears win that game against the Atlanta Falcons if he's not pulled. But I think Mitchell probably would have given him a better chance to win against the Colts, because when Foles came out against the Colts, he looked terrible, and we were yelling for him to get pulled in the second quarter because he was incredibly inaccurate. And the Tampa Bay game came out flat. Then they came back, played a good game, won that game, and that bought him some more time. And you're thinking, okay, maybe he is the right guy for this. But then it's been subpar performance after subpar performance, and he just doesn't give you anything unless all the situations are optimal. He has to have good protection. He has to have guys open. He's not going to be able to avoid sacks. I know there's this stat out there saying that Mitch takes sacks more than Foles, but Foles throws the ball away. I mean, that's one thing that Mitch never really did very well. Is he would hold on to the ball. Mitch always wants to make a play. He wants to make something happen, and sometimes that's to his detriment. But
yeah, Andrew Danahy from the Bears blog actually was kind of giving me a little back and forth on Twitter that he was saying that the numbers show that Foles is better at avoiding sacks, and I was telling him, I'm sure the numbers tell that, but to me, the eye test says if you're going to pick one quarterback to avoid a sack on this one play, it's 3rd and 8, and they're blitzing the house, and the offensive line is going to have their issues like they've had here in the last 2 years. Which quarterback are you picking to extend the play and make a play? I'm sorry, yeah. I'm going to take Mitchell Trubisky, and I'm going to go against what the number's saying. Maybe that's a silly thing, but that's just how I see it. But, it is interesting, and I'm excited to see how it goes. I guess maybe excited isn't the best word to use, but I am. I mean, after 4 weeks of as pitiful as it's gotten, and as you mentioned, with the Colts game, he kind of bailed himself out when they came back against the Bucs, because I was almost there in the Tampa Bay game. I mean, if you remember,
I was
before they came back, yes, in the 3rd quarter, I put a poll up, and people were ready to be done with it at that point, but, the Bears did what they do and had a miraculous comeback and kind of muddied the waters as far as our vision for what was to come. So it's interesting. We have an interesting question in the chat from Brandon, and he wants to know what is on my birthday list for this Sunday. And that's a good one, because we were trying to come up with some good ideas. That's a good one as far as idea. What's on my birthday list for this Sunday, Brandon? I don't know. Let's say 3-4 touchdowns by the offense, specifically Mitchell Trubisky. What's on the birthday wish list? I don't know, a game-winning touchdown at the end of the game so you guys can all see me wet my pants here after on the post-game show here on Brags in the Stands. I got a few different wishes, but, to me, the most realistic one would probably be, Khalil Mack dominating this Sunday night. They're on the primetime stage, and if the Bears really want to have a true chance of winning this game and Mitchell Trubisky having any chance of getting some success, the defense is going to have to play a lights-out performance. And, Aaron Rodgers, he's ready to stick the knife in our side. And, I was on with Christian Shanafelt, and he was nice enough to bring me on their show he has with DJ Moore. And I was talking about how back in the day, I would fear Aaron Rodgers more than I did Brett Favre because how lethal he is coming out the gates, Jake. We used to talk about how two touchdowns right out the gate, 14-0 almost every time it seems like we play Aaron Rodgers. It hasn't been like that, I feel like, as much as in the early part of his career here, but he is capable of jumping on you if you aren't ready to play. And the Bears have not shown that they can get off the bus doing anything right. So that's my biggest concern, is how the game starts. Can they stay in it to start the game? And if they do, the further they stay in the game, the more they're playing with house money and the more the pressure goes on the Green Bay Packers. Because
the last 5 games against the Packers, it's been a one-score game every single time. So the last 5 games, it's always been close. The Bears, the last 7 of 8, I think the Packers have won. The Bears haven't won in Lambeau in 5 years, but in the past couple seasons, they've been keeping these games close. And they, the game like you showed earlier when they clinched the division against the Packers, that was such a sweet moment. That just you watch that and you're like, man, I miss that.
Well, and they've only won 3 times in the last 20 appearances against the Green Bay Packers, so that's one of the few moments that you actually got to see the Bears in control. And Green Bay gave it a little bit of a game, but for the most part, if you go back to watch that game, Mitch had a great game against Green Bay that day, and that's what you want to see this Sunday. But it seems like the Bears offense is so far away from those days. People try to nitpick that 2018 the offense wasn't as great as maybe we all made it up to be, because the numbers show that they were I'll take the 2018 offense all day long. They were throwing the ball downfield. They were getting the run game involved, and Trey Burton at that time was getting involved in the offense. We haven't seen any of that stuff in 2 years, so I'm hoping that this Sunday we're going to get to go back, because in the first 2 weeks, if you go back, granted, they were playing, lesser opponents, Detroit and New York, and it's the beginning of the season, COVID off season, so everybody's knocking off the rust. So I will grant that, but they were running the ball better, and I felt like with more of a plan. They were doing a lot more two tight end, they were under center, and trying to cater to Mitch's strengths, rolling him out of the pocket. And you even start to saw in the second game against the worthless Giants, he started to make some plays. At halftime, they were up like 20-0, and I felt like half of Bears Nation was ready to throw the ticker tape parade. I know when he scrambled out of the pocket and made that play to Darnell Mooney, we were printing the shirts for Mooney. We were ready to, hey, this team's doing something. Mitch is back, baby. And then it all fell apart so quickly in the second half of the Giants game. And then, of course, the Falcons game is when you get the bench. And Foles brings them back to win in miraculous fashion. And Bears fans' heads have been spinning ever since. So it's interesting. Yeah, if anything, there's intrigue behind it. And I just thought it was funny when the week started. You knew he was going to start because Kyle Long tweeted this picture out. And when he tweets this picture out, you know the shark is coming.
That's the thing about the idea, like you said, is it better that Nagy benched Mitch? And maybe it wasn't so bad for Nagy in the way if it got his ego out of the way for a second, because he was very, very quick to pull Mitch. And I know at the time that he pulled him, there was probably 6 quarters of some pretty bad quarterback play, offensive production at the time. But he was definitely thinking, it's not me, it's the quarterback situation. So in that regard, him pulling him and getting, pretty much abysmal outside of the Tampa Bay game production, the offensive production was terrible. And you saw what it was like with the quarterback that you chose. Obviously he had a say in that, to trade for him. Saw that it was, the effort was not there. The quarterback play was not there. It was not what you envisioned. Maybe that does benefit Matt in a way, because if the season's going to come back, it's going to be on the shoulders of one Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah. And, we'll leave that, opportunity open for the possibility, but yes, it's got to be the defense here this Sunday. And so that's going to be the biggest question, because, all the talk's going to be about Mitchell Trubisky, but the defense, is what has to lead the way. And with Akeem Hicks, questionable and a game time decision, which to me is a surprise that he's even listed as that. But I did hear, because I think most people would chalk that up as gamesmanship for the coach by Matt Nagy not wanting to tell Green Bay whether or not he's going to play. But I did hear Jeff Dickerson a couple days ago on Waddle and Sylvie on ESPN 1000 kind of hint that Akeem Hicks was going to give it a try, that, his passion for his hatred for Green Bay is going to will him out there. I mean, it's been 13 days since they played when the game is played on Sunday. And so maybe he had time to get that hamstring healed up, but I don't know. He's a big boy, and he's had a lot of injuries in the past. You would want to err on the side of caution, but if he is ready to go, he does make a huge difference in this defense. You know what this Bears defense looked like when he came out last year. So, all hands on deck when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, but that's going to be the biggest question is, can he go? And if he can't, you're going to have guys like Brent Urban, Mario Edwards, and guys of that nature step up in his place. So,
I think, stopping the run against the Packers is going to be really, really important, because if they're going to be able to gash you, then Rodgers is going to kill you on play action all day long. And even if he'd still kill you anyway. He still has that capability. But if you can stop the run, we have, regardless of what the season's results have been, we do have one of the finest pair of corners in the league. Eddie Jackson is going to play. So the back half is there, whether or not Akeem is there or not. Yeah. But that's going to be big. Stopping the run against the Packers is going to be huge, because if they can gash you on the ground, you know what they can do to you through the air. So, the Bears are going to need to put up some points in this game.
100%. 100%. That's the only way you can win. You can't win games scoring 17 points. And Matt Nagy benched Mitchell Trubisky because he said, he wanted 7s, not 3s. And then we started getting goose eggs, more goose eggs than we ever thought we could. I mean, we couldn't even get into the red zone to get the 3s, let alone the 7s. So they're going to have to hold up their end of the bargain. It can't just be on Cordero Patterson and the defense to score points. I mean, it's insanity. So I've never had a problem with the defense. Eddie Jackson might, take a bad angle or may not, get a tackle down or, look at all the arrows pointed at Robert Quinn right now in that signing. To me, it's bad by nature of his numbers, but I don't see lack of effort. I see a guy coming around the edge trying to get there. They're getting the ball out of their hands quick, and the Bears defense is always playing from behind. So, how do they get more? How do you get Eddie Jackson more pick sixes? How do you get more sacks? Get more leads. Get more big leads, not just 3-point leads, bigger leads to let this defense pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. And then that forces the quarterback to make bad decisions. And then all of a sudden we've got pick sixes. We haven't gotten any pick sixes this year. Why? We haven't had many leads. In 2018, we had tons of leads. And guess what? We had tons of pick sixes, not just by Eddie Jackson. We had Kyle Fuller. We had Prince Amukamara taking Russell Wilson to the house. We had all sorts of guys getting in on the action. And these guys are ready and chomping their teeth or, grinding their teeth trying to get to the pay dirt. But guess what, guys? Until they get, sustainable leads, you're not going to see the floodgates open up on the turnover machine. I mean, to me, the offense got to hold up their end of the bargain, and maybe Mitch and Bill Lazor combination will be what you need. You also have David Montgomery coming back. The Green Bay Packers aren't world beaters. I just watched them play Jacksonville the other day. Jacksonville almost beat them at their house. This isn't out of the realm of possibility. I know we're all beaten down as Bears fans, and it seems like they can barely muster up 6 points, but I do feel like this could be like the 2003 Rex Grossman versus the Falcons game, because it has felt so long since the offense could do anything of competence. And I feel like the first completed pass, I saw somebody joking on Twitter that the first completed pass, all Mitch truthers are going to be freaking out. I think all Bears fans are going to have a little bit of a freak out moment, similar to when you saw Rex Grossman complete that 18-yard pass over the middle against the Falcons on Monday Night Football against Michael Vick, because it's been so long since we've seen a forward pass and competent offense. And I just think if they do anything that looks like that, resembles that, we're going to feel good. And I also think the team will feel a little spark and energy from that. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's my birthday wish for this Sunday. I'm definitely going to be glued into it and see how it plays out. Now, somebody asked in the chat, is this for one game, or is this for the season? Now, going back to Mitch, to me, this is the one game money on the table time. This is the switch that had to be made, because why? You've got one game to win, and then all of a sudden things open up. Yes, this is a really tough game to win. Green Bay averaging 30 points. More than likely, they're going to lose. But I'm betting with my heart this week that they're going to pull it out. And if they do, of course, Mitch Trubisky stays in as the starter. And then all of a sudden, you look at their schedule, and it opens up. They've got Detroit, the Texans at home. Granted, they've been playing better now. I think a couple weeks ago, you'd have been like, okay, that one feels good. Then they posted like 40 points yesterday on the Lions. So they're no slouch, but it's at Chicago. And then you've got Jacksonville. So all of a sudden, it opens up. But you got to get through Green Bay. If not, I'd rather you lose out. But let's see what they do on Sunday. I'm going to hold out one sliver of hope. That's where I'm at with this team. How are you with it?
Well, the Bears haven't won coming off the bye since 2013. So for 7 years, this is 6 straight seasons they haven't won off the bye. So this is a chance for them to right that ship. And I think a big part of that will be actually establishing a run game, which they haven't been able to do all year long practically. But they were running the ball well the first few weeks with Mitch under center, because Foles is primarily in the shotgun, and that has not yielded very good results for the Bears. So getting Mitch under center and running plays under center might help get the run game going a little bit like it was the first 2 weeks of the season. So that would be huge, because if they can actually get yards on the ground, it's going to make life a lot easier, and be able to keep that defense honest, keep our defense rested on the field, own time of possession a little bit against these Packers. That's going to be huge. So if they can run the ball, I feel good about that. And you know what? I really enjoyed seeing Lamar Miller run the ball the other week when he was playing.
Those three runs?
He only got a couple opportunities, but he wasn't dancing. He was just hitting his holes. He has pretty good vision, and he was just going for it, and he was yielding yards. He didn't get the playing time because we insist on giving Cordero a lot of touches in the run game, for worse or better, whatever that might be. But I like seeing what he could do, and he might be a pretty interesting guy to get some touches to. So we'll see. Run game is big. Obviously the Bears have not been good off of buys, but stranger things have happened.
That's another thing when it comes to Matt Nagy, extended buys or after a full bye week or coming into seasons in the off season, they never seem to have their team ready to play when they've had it's when they have a short week they actually come ready to play, which is kind of the backwards thinking. Now, Jake, I know we had talked about maybe we had some clips of Mitch talking queued up. Did you happen to have those still, or while we're while you're pulling those up? See, this is what Kyle Long tweeted, which set off the firestorm. And when Kyle Long's tweeting about his buddy, it's the truth. And so we've got Mitchell Trubisky back at QB1, and these were some of his thoughts today, provided by ChicagoBears.com.
Mitch, how much hope did you have that you would get another chance like this?
Yeah, I was just continuing to prepare as if I was a starter, just go through my weekly practice routine and continue to watch film and all that, and just trying to find ways to continue to get better at my craft and hoping for another opportunity. So I'm excited for this week, and we got a big opportunity this weekend.
Can you enlarge the screen?
Dan Wiederer?
No, it'll blow everything up if I do.
Hey, Mitch,
it does.
Yeah.
Good. How you doing?
No problem.
Good. Matt's made repeated references to sort of the early stretches of the demotion being a little bit challenging, a little bit frustrating for you. I wondered, in your words, those first couple weeks, kind of what those were like for you, and how you worked through that initial emotion, I guess.
Yeah, I think more than anything, I was caught off guard. I think in the beginning of the season, I was just starting to build some momentum, and then it kind of felt like a blind side, and then I just had to embrace a new role. In the first couple of days, it sucked being in that role, but I was trying to just continue to keep perspective and think long term. And I want to play in this league a long time, and if I want to do that, there's things I just need to continue to get better at. And at that point, I just changed my mindset to embrace practice. I was doing my job in the scout team, just trying to give the defense a good look, taking a lot of pride into that, and preparing them for the weeks. And defense has been playing really, really well, and I felt like I was a part of that, being on scout team and just leading those guys on the scout team and giving them good looks. And I did feel during those weeks I got better as a player, just testing different throws, leading the offense, and seeing a lot of good looks from our defense and going against them. So it was tough. It was an adjustment, but I was always hopeful for another opportunity.
Yeah, that was some of the interesting comments that I liked.
I agree.
I'm gonna pause it for a second.
That's a good idea.
I lost it.
That's okay.
When he was talking about how he was blindsided and how he was pissed about it, I think that relationship between Nagy and Mitch is pretty much soured at this point, because I do think he wasn't playing well those last 6 quarters, but it was a quick hook for him to just be like, you're not the starter anymore, and the explosion that happened at the end of that Falcons game was a bit of a trick card, because that's definitely not the play that we saw from Foles for the next whatever weeks it was, 5 weeks of football,
right?
So
and the Falcons they've had how many collapses from other teams too, which kind of, when Mitch does things against bad teams, he only does it against the Lions. Foles, he gets all the credit in the world for that Falcons game. I know some people say Mitch is 3-0, he's 2-0. Nick Foles won the 3rd game. But granted, it was against the Falcons and they were falling apart. So I agree with you there. That kind of, muddies the waters when it comes to that. And it is a blind side. When you're 2-0 and you get benched off your first true big mistake. The other ones you could, blame the tight end for not catching it or blame the wide receiver for not getting his hands on it. Anthony Miller had a drop. This guy, Jimmy Graham, had a couple drops. You could place blame different ways. Now, the one time it was completely on him, doesn't see the linebacker over the middle, happy feet. I mean, the benching was justified in that game because they won, but it is a blindside moment because you don't bench quarterbacks when they're 2-0 typically. I mean, even Mike Glennon had 4 games to be terrible before they finally gave him the hook. No, right. So for Nagy to say 2-0 wasn't good enough and the way we were playing wasn't good enough, and I'm benching Nick Foles or Mitch Trubisky because I want Nick Foles because we're going to be better. That's the promise. Well, that didn't happen. So, and the other thing before we go back to it that I did find interesting was the fact him talking about his reps as the practice guy, the guy getting the defense ready. I did find that interesting because I think when people talk about, hey, put this guy in the bench, it'll be good for him. I don't think most people know what that means because I think they just think it means sitting on the sideline and watching the guy on the field operate and trying to learn from that perspective. That's an element of it, but an element I think people miss is what Mitch just talked about there. He got to be in practice and maybe take different chances on, because when Mitch is getting the other defense ready, he can then see different things and try to take chances that maybe he wouldn't take as the QB1 taking reps because he wants to make sure, you want to play it safe. You want to make sure your role as this team is to not turn the ball over because of the defense you have. But when you're the practice squad quarterback, maybe you're going to try a few different windows that you wouldn't necessarily try in practice. So maybe that is something that could happen. And I'm grasping at straws, and I'm sure everyone's having a big chuckle at my expense while I do so. But this is what we have as Bears fans. So at least I have some straws to grasp at, because if Nick Foles was coming in, there was no straw to be grasped. They were just going to lose 35-3, and they might still lose 35-3. And then we'll have our answer. We want to lose out for the year, but let's see it. I want to see it this Sunday. I'm pulling back on the lose out reins because I was almost there. Even though I was kind of teetering around it, I still wanted the Bears to win. I hadn't completely said, okay, that's it, lose out. I know a lot of Bears fans because I had put polls up and it was like well over 50%.
Yeah, we'll get to
that. I'm ready to give this team one sliver of hope. Do you want to listen to a little bit more of it, Jake, or what do you think? I think we can listen to a little bit more.
Yeah, pull it up.
We don't have to listen to the whole thing, of course, but I did, some of it was very interesting. I thought at least.
They're going to try to confuse us in the back end, get after us up front with their rush, and just trying to confuse the quarterback and us on offense.
That was the funniest part. Confuse the quarterback. You mean you, Mitch?
Very disappointed in our route running, and we got to be on the same page. So we're expecting to see a lot of different looks. We got a lot of respect for this defense and Coach Pettin and what he's done over the years. But when we get our opportunities, we got to take advantage and find ways to score points.
Mark Grody. Deion Miller.
Mitch, welcome back. After being blindsided by the benching, what does this opportunity on this stage, trying to help this team break a losing streak, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's a big opportunity. And I think more than anything, what means most to me is just having an opportunity to come back and be there for my guys when we just need to find a way to win, and however that is. So coming back, it's obviously a big rivalry game. And then us being in the situation we are now, we need to find a way to get in the win column. So I thought we had a great week of practice. Having that bye week and just having a chance to relax and get away from it a little bit, I think it allowed us to come back, readjust our mindset and attack practice and attack this week and find a way to get back on track as a team. So being back in the role that I am and being a leader on this team, it means a lot to me to have this opportunity to go into battle with my guys this weekend. So I'm looking forward to it.
Pat Finley.
Hey, Mitch, I know you've been taking all the starter snaps this week, but do you care that the decision, at least publicly, wasn't made until Friday afternoon in terms of being declarative? He is our starter.
What does that mean?
No, I don't care. I don't pay attention.
He should have said, "Don't care." Like
Adam John.
He'd have won everyone back.
Hey, Mitch, with Bill.
Yeah. So, this is the thing about all this. You get this nice story. We have these nice stories. All the time. It seems, and it seems like sometimes it's around bye weeks. You're like, okay, well, they get some time to go back, figure things out, reassess the situation. Typically, then they still come out flat. We had a couple situations last year where there was some major adversity, like the Chargers game. Mitch is throwing a couple picks. Pinheiro misses a kick. They lose that game. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, if Mitch is going to show out, if Mitch is going to step up in the face of adversity and do something, it's going to be this next week. And then it doesn't happen. And there's another series of unfortunate events that make you think, okay, well, here's a new set of adversity. If Mitch can respond to this, then I feel, really good about him. And then he doesn't do it again. And it's like, there's been so many of those situations that it's hard, at least for me and maybe for some other people, it's hard for me to be like, I'm rooting for the guy, and I want him to be the starter for the rest of the season, absolutely. And wanted him to be the starter earlier than he was announced starter. I wish he would have been playing by the time that Titans game rolled around. But this is what it is. I hope he plays well. But it's it's like one of those fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice,
sure,
shame on me, because it's like fool me 10 times. 12 times with this guy, and he's such a good kid, and you want good things for him, but it's like
well, that's why I feel like even if they win, I don't think there will be, it's not going to be all of Bears fans rejoicing. I think there will be a large segment of fans that will be upset because it's only going to muddy the waters even more, similar to the way Nick Foles when he beat the Falcons. Yeah, that's what we want as Bears fans, but is that giving us a clear vision of what's going on, or is this only making it harder on the decision? Because to me, it's either one way or the other. Either make the playoffs or don't win another game. And I know that the team can't decide that, so they got to just try. But that's kind of the football hell that the Chicago Bears live in right now. And Brandon, who's one of our greatest supporters of this show, and he's right. Another thing we do need to talk about here is Charles Leno, because not only is Akeem Hicks questionable in a game time decision, all of a sudden Charles Leno, our left tackle, pops up on the injury report, hurt his toe in practice. And so that will be an interesting development, because I think people are starting to wonder what the offensive line lineup's going to be this week. Sam Mustipher is healthy again, and the last time you saw him under center, he looked very good. And then they had Alex Bars move to center. He didn't play all that bad, and now Cody Whitehair is back as well. So which one do you have play center? Which one do you have play left guard? And if Charles Leno is out, who do you have play left tackle? And, I think a lot of Bears fans have been calling for Charles Leno to be replaced. Now, we're going to find out. If Charles Leno can't play and somebody comes in, we're going to find out. Maybe another guy can come in and play better. Maybe he'll play worse. I don't know, but at least you'll get some clarity there. And who knows? You get the right combination, the right symmetry up front. David Montgomery has returned. You got Bill Lazor, who might try to be under center and run the ball a little more. That's going to be the recipe for them to try to get something going, but I totally understand where you're coming from as far as not getting, your complete hopes up. I mean, I think we're all there as Bears fans. Now, for me, obviously, I have been a huge Mitchell Trubisky supporter from the start. I have. There's no question about it. This was year one at training camp, his rookie season. Look at that baby face on both of us, really. And I got the tank top on, but he's as nice as can be. Yes, all the reports are true. Just as all those bad stories you heard about Jay that were true, all the good stories you hear about Mitch, those are equally true. This guy is all class. I've seen him, take his time with fans, go up and down the aisles and shake people's hands and thank them for coming to training camp. I don't think I've ever had a player thank me for coming to camp. So, to me, that's somebody I can root for. And then, yes, of course, you got to be talented on the field. I have always looked at him as a talented player. So I never had those kind of same ill wills where I understand Bears fans want better. We all want better. But I didn't think he was this crap quarterback that some of these people made him out to be. And I didn't think all the problems that the offense had last year fell at his feet. And I know a lot of Bears fans thought they did. I sat in the stands and listened to them blame him for everything. So, I understand that there's a lot of Bears fans that look at the bigger picture and the context and the nuance, and we all knew that the offensive line needed to be heavily upgraded. And was it? No, it wasn't. So, we all knew, but did the coaching staff underestimate, how much they needed help up front?
Obviously.
I think they did. They drafted Cole Kmet over an offensive line help, and they don't use Cole Kmet. To me, that's where you swing and miss. Games are won in the trenches. That is an adage as old as time in football, and the Bears have kind of pushed past that to try to, solve it in different ways. You got to start up front on both sides of the ball. So, I know my guy Fat Mike would be, he was on the post-game show a few weeks ago. He'd beat that drum to death. Get the biggest, fattest guys and let them move the earth for you. That's what they need, and we're going to find out because this is his last chance. All those fun memories of 2018. And we got to take a picture with Mitch and Kimmy. Look at us. Look how happy we were, Jake. Different times. We weren't even wearing masks. Look at that. We can embrace our love together.
I remember what that was like.
Yeah, my wife Jenny, Mitch getting in with my wife Jenny, right when Jenny was pregnant. So I'm sure Jenny loves that I'm sharing this picture, but there he is right there.
Mitch looks absolutely trash.
He was. You know what's funny in this picture? Jenny is just about to pop. She's getting ready to have Addison like 3 weeks later. And I was like, Mitch, we're having a baby, which it's like, obviously. But, and he goes, oh, really? He goes, you going to name him Mitch? And I go, well, it's a girl. And he goes, name her Mitch. And we both started cracking up. And, and then there we were a few months later at training camp. And there he is holding Addison Gray. So, yeah. I'm a big Mitch Trubisky fan. I don't make no bones about that. This guy, I root for him. 2018 was one of my favorite years as a Chicago Bears fan, and he was the quarterback of that team. So for me, I am rooting for him to, show everybody up on the Sunday night stage. I would love nothing more for him to throw 4 touchdowns and give them double birds. Even the 4 touchdowns don't mean it proves everything about his career, but I'd still love to see it nonetheless. That's what I root for. I mean, I saw somebody in the chat say it would be a great story. That's what I watch sports for as a fan, the story. When I go to a Cubs game, I want to see the walk-off home run. When I go to a Bears game, I want to see the game-winning touchdown. I enjoy adversity. I enjoy the ups and downs. That's what sports are all about, and I enjoy the story more than anything. The journey is more fun than the accomplishment. Winning the 2016 World Series as a Cub fan was fun, but it was stressful. And when they finally won it, I felt relief more than I did excitement because I just wanted it to happen. So, to me, the journey is what's more fun, especially the start of the journey. So 2018 was that, and now it hasn't been fun since then. But for me, I enjoy the peaks and the valleys, and one day I know the Chicago Bears are going to win it all. Whether that's with Mitch Trubisky under center or not, it's obviously more than likely not. So, for me, it's just about watching this story play out. But, Mitch has a chance to write his own story. So, best of luck to him. And, it's my birthday. So, that the stars are going to align for me, Jake. And Mitch is going to give me the ultimate.
Blocking the field goal.
Yes, it is. You're 100% right. It's just meant to be.
It's weird. The weird thing about this, as opposed to this was last year, is you're like, I want to see Mitch play out so we can see if he's the franchise quarterback of the Bears. Now Mitch is playing when he's not a part of the future, realistically. So it's an interesting dynamic. It's almost like he's playing. I mean, granted, he could get a 1-year deal. He could get a small deal if he plays well or something like that. But he's basically playing in a way for Matt Nagy and for Ryan Pace because realistically, he's probably not going to be here next year unless he takes a friendly deal and wants to be around to compete with whatever we bring around. And so it's kind of weird. It's a weird situation. He's basically playing for himself. He's playing for free agency. He's playing for the next stop of his career. Maybe that's the Bears. Realistically, probably not. But it's an interesting dynamic.
And then the other dynamic to me that's interesting is, with this whole Ravens situation and their whole team has got COVID, Lamar Jackson's got COVID. I know that they had mentioned, if the schedule continues to get messed with, that they were going to add an extra team in both conference, which would to the playoffs, which would then mean the Bears would have an even better shot, to make that back end of the playoffs. But I did think that would be an interesting scenario if they were to add a team in each conference and Mitch were to get them going a little bit more, not win out, but enough to get them that A spot theoretically. And then so let's say Mitch played well enough to get him to the A spot, but then they lost inevitably in the playoffs. To me, if I'm the owner of the Bears, I'm going, well, guess what? That A spot don't really count. You still lost. You're still gone. And it would be like, that would be funny in that scenario to see Mitch play well, but then them still lose their job in that way. Because I know there's a lot of Bears fans, and we can move to that portion of our talk here as far as what we want as Bears fans and what's the most ideal situation. And I definitely think this is an interesting question because, there's one thing to predict what the Bears are going to do and what we want them to do. I enter my picks into the Midway Minute for Kevin Kadick, and great newsletter. All Chicago sports fans should subscribe to, and we get to put our picks in every Sunday. And we're actually 7-3 here at Brags in the Stands. I'm pretty proud of that personally because I know I'm an extremely biased Bears fan. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I want the Bears to win every week. So to pick against them is not easy as a fan, and so I think there's only one person sitting at 8-2, and we're 7-3 on the season. That's pretty good, for an extremely biased meatball fanboy that lives in delusion and everything else I always hear on Twitter because God forbid I support the players on my team. And so, my most ideal situation is that number one, the Bears win out and make the playoffs. And that would, obviously win a Super Bowl. Well, let's not get silly here. Win out, make the playoffs, make noise in the playoffs. That's my ideal situation. Win out, Mitch Trubisky gets double birds. They go to the playoffs, they make noise in the playoffs, they look good. And then, I don't know, you get to that point. That's where a lot of Bears fans would get completely terrified because now you're talking about franchise tags or extensions because Mitchell Trubisky did not have his fifth-year option picked up. But hey, maybe they win out and he doesn't play, extremely better and they don't pick it up and they just move on. They had their nice little run. They still move on. You don't know. Yeah. It's not a definite that they're going to, especially if Nagy sticks around. Clearly these two don't align, mentally as far as what they want to do on the field. So, to me, that's not, a done deal. If they make the playoffs, Mitch is definitely back, but I definitely think that it helps his case. Then my second most ideal situation, this is what's funny about where we're at as Bears fans, is that they lose out. It's either make the playoffs and make some noise, or two, lose out. That's where the ladder falls for me, and that's why this game is so pivotal in me trying to make that decision as a fan. Because, I do, I see Chubb say you should never root against your team. I disagree with that. There does come a point where you need your team to lose. If you're not going to the playoffs, I don't care. I understand you can get just as good a guy at 20 that you can at 15. I'll take my chances at 15. When the Bears drafted Kyle Fuller, great player, took him 5 years to work out, but a great player nonetheless. The player picked before him was Aaron Donald, who's probably going to the Hall of Fame. So if the Bears hadn't screwed around at the end of that year and won a game they shouldn't have, the Bears would have Aaron Donald right now. I'm not saying I don't want Kyle Fuller. I'm happy to have him on the team. I'm just saying losing at the end of the season does matter if you need it. So, that's where I kind of disagree with some fans that say you can never root against them, but I'm not there quite yet. And if you were rooting against them while they still had a winning record, that's where I start to differentiate as far as my opinion as a fan. If they have a chance, you should still root for them. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of people that are nervous that if they win some games, that will save Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace's job. And before the sorry, I had to grab my phone. I dropped it. Before we started the show, you asked me if I would put up some polls to see, kind of gauge the feelings of the fans. I didn't get a chance to
pull them up here.
That'd be great because I didn't get a chance to put them into the hopper. We do have some results already coming through, almost 200, 150, 200 votes for each. And as you can see, it's pretty split, so let's go through it here. Should Matt Nagy return as the head coach for the 2021 season? No is winning at 50%. Without question, and then split at 26% and 23%, depends on the 2020 result, and yes. So right there, that tells you that I think 50% of fans would prefer they just lose out at this point.
50% of fans are just saying, hey, whatever happens, we know this isn't the right guy. And 26% of those fans, 27% of the fans are pretty much also saying, I'm really not certain he's the guy, in my impression of that. So you're still getting a mixed bag here of people that really have any sort of confidence in the guy. So right off the bat, 50% no. That's pretty substantial. Even though it's 164 votes, to have that sort of swing probably says a lot to the greater collection of Bears fans. And I think that's accurate. And I feel the same way. I feel the same way about Nagy and Ryan Pace. I'm ready to move on from both of those guys. And losing out definitely helps make that a reality. Now, like you said, if the Bears can go on a run earlier in the season when they're 5-1, we were excited. And I still didn't like Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, but we were ready to roll because we're thinking at this rate we're going to the playoffs.
Exactly. You don't ever miss at 5-1. How many teams miss at 5-1?
Yeah, 4 straight losses happen, and now you're thinking, wow, look at the situation we're in with personnel. The offense is so behind the defense. They stacked it this team in one direction. Their franchise quarterback is not a franchise quarterback. Do I trust this guy to make another quarterback decision? No, I don't. Do I trust Matt Nagy because he was here to run an offense? No, his offense is really bad. So it's like, realistically, if the McCaskies are going to make a change that needs to happen, they need to be losing games. And that's where this comes into play of what's best here. Should they win just because I'm a Bears fan and I want them to win? Or can I see the long game here and realize that they need a franchise quarterback? They need a lot of assets. They haven't had a first-round pick in 2 years. Like, they're behind the 8 ball here, and for them to make the playoffs would be awesome. But if they get bounced, which they realistically would, and then you still have these guys running the team next year and making a really pivotal decision about potentially a quarterback, that's huge. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to get on board. If you're going to give me entertaining football for the rest of this year and you're going to go to the playoffs, I'll give you maybe the benefit of the doubt to come back. And that's way more on Matt Nagy than Ryan Pace. I want Ryan Pace out the door tomorrow, today, whatever it is. I think he has absolutely lost his right to be a general manager for this team. But I think if the team goes far, it says more about Nagy than it does about Pace. Pace has put this team behind the 8 ball for sure.
Completely fair. Completely fair, and you see it with the fans. I mean, most of them do not want either back, over 50% basically for both. And so that's where a lot of fans are at, and I know that's why you're going to see a lot of fans upset if the Bears do indeed win on Sunday. So, it kind of has to play itself out, and you got to let the chips fall where they may. I know a lot of Bears fans have their own ideas on how things are going to work out and, but it's not up to us. So it's up to the players on the field. That's where they decided. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they can do. I know Nagy's sitting in his war room right now coming up with some great plays that Bill Lazor will politely decline. He'll say, no, thank you. Hopefully that's what he says, and we can get back to being the kings of the North. Remember this?
I do.
This is an amazing graphic. You'll see this graphic float around Twitter every once in a while, and if you see it, you should know on the little bottom right-hand corner, our very own here at Brags in the Stands, one Jacob Ovanik, made this graphic, and it's the best of the best. That's what we deal with here. We only have the best of the best when it comes to graphic design work, and hopefully Mitch can return as the king of the North. I'm excited. It's my birthday, so on Sunday we'll do some fun coverage, and hopefully we get a Bears win, and then I can celebrate, and you guys can all see me. And
you're talking about the double birds. If Mitch throws 4 touchdowns and they win that game, I hope he throws double birds in Nagy's face, because that's
just
where it
walks
belongs.
off the field and smacks Nagy right across the face.
Smack his visor off his bald head.
Well, at one point, I know it was either JJ Stankovitz or one of the other reporters during their interview or press conference with them. They asked, what was his input on the game plan this week now that he's back at QB1, and he was saying, he was telling him what some of the stuff he wanted and didn't want in the offense. And it made me wonder, just the way he said it. It almost seemed like he kind of learned, some of the many things you learn when you're sitting behind as the backup. Maybe watching Nick Foles communicate with Matt Nagy and telling him, being a little more adamant about the things that he's comfortable with and not comfortable with. You heard Nick Foles tell Brian Greasy that Matt Nagy's trying to call plays where he doesn't have enough time to complete it. You can't do a 5-step drop when the line is already in your defensive line's already in your face. And maybe Mitchell Trubisky was too young to know that he can communicate those things to Matt Nagy. He just wants to execute what Matt Nagy tells him to. And maybe just because of the inexperience of one Mitchell Trubisky, he's not going to, say, hey, Matt, you don't know what you're talking about here. This is what we need to be doing. Well, Nick Foles is a 10-year vet. He knows what he likes. He knows what he likes in this offense. So now Mitch is watching this guy go, well, no, Matt, quit bringing personnel switches out when we're trying to run no huddle. We got this team on our toes. You saw him doing that against Tampa Bay, and you see Mitchell Trubisky standing behind both of them on the sideline. Like, you can kind of see it on his face, like, whoa, okay, you can talk to Matt like that. I don't know, maybe, I understand he should be further ahead in his development. You saw Deshaun Watson light the world up yesterday on Thanksgiving Day, and we all know the greatness of one Patrick Mahomes, and the Bears missed on both of them. And yeah, we wish Mitch was playing at the level those guys are at. He's not. So we shall see how he responds to the permanent benching he got in week 3. And if it's the same Mitch, it's going to be hit the road jack. More than likely, it's hit the road jack already.
If it's the same Mitch, I mean, who cares? Because even if it's the same Mitch, he's way more interesting to watch than Nick Foles, because Mitch still is a more exciting player. He's a youthful player. He can run. He can do things that Foles can't. The thing that was really Foles' saving grace was that he had great processing power. He was, like a computer in his brain. Like he could process the field, and he understood the game better. And that was supposed to be the big difference maker. And that's what I thought we were getting after that Falcons game. Mitch, I think, isn't quite there processing the game. I think it still moves a bit fast for him. If you could meld those two quarterbacks, I think you'd have a pretty decent quarterback. But it's still a much more exciting game with Mitch in the game. So I'm excited to watch him play. I'm reserved to think that it's going to be anything different than I've seen before from Mitch, but I'd way rather sit on my couch and watch that than watch Nick Foles.
1,000%. I'm 100% with you, and we got Chubbs in the chat, who's always got some good hot takes, and he's 100% right here. I'm somebody that talks about all the talent and one of the best coaches in football surrounding Patrick Mahomes, which only helps elevate who Patrick Mahomes is. But you're seeing this year what Watson is doing with basically, I don't want to say nothing around him. He has some talented football players around him, but they just traded DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason, and they don't have too much to write home. They don't have to. I don't know who's their tight end. You know what I mean? And and he's always running for his life. I know, just as a Deshaun Watson fantasy owner last year, he was my QB1. He was always getting sacked, and he'd get blamed for holding on to the ball too long and things of that nature. And you're seeing how well he's playing this year on a bad football team. And even someone like me, when they traded DeAndre Hopkins, I was like, oh, let's see how Deshaun Watson does now without his wide receiver one. Let's see how and guess what? He's doing just fine. So, there is a bar that Mitchell Trubisky needs to meet if he's going to be a QB1 for any team in the NFL, not just the Chicago Bears. So it'll be interesting. We had some funny.
That was the argument on Mitch too, because that's one of the things that people, a good quarterback elevates everyone around them. They make something out of nothing, and that's what Watson does. That's what Patrick Mahomes does. Even though he has a great supporting cast, a great coaching staff, all those things, you still see Patrick Mahomes elevate himself above all those great situations and make godlike throws.
Yeah, because Patrick doesn't have too much that he has to overcome in Kansas City. You see that with Deshaun Watson this year, but the record doesn't change. I mean, what are they, 4-7? So it's not an exact science when it comes to that. And to me, it's about it's a team sport. So if you're going to put it all on the quarterback, win, lose, or draw. But to me, if they can, it's not an indictment to say get some good players around him and he can be a successful quarterback in this league. I don't know where Mitch is going to go next year, but if it's New England or sitting behind Ben Roethlisberger, or I was talking to draft Dr. Phil Filatoshin. He was telling me, let's see how he looked with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. What kind of a quarterback would he be recognized as in this league? So, it's about fit. And to me, you as a great quarterback, you do have to overcome flaws on your team, but you can only have so many flaws to overcome. So Patrick Mahomes has very little flaws to overcome. Deshaun Watson's got a lot, and they have the record they have, but he's still successful as a quarterback. Mitch is not successful as a quarterback, but I do believe that is a product of the environment around him too. I don't think it's a complete. Mitch is a bust, can never be successful in this league. I do believe, after watching, especially now, after what I've seen since he's been out, that there are just way too many flaws on the offensive side of the football to overcome, and I don't think there is any quarterback that can succeed in this offense, personally.
That's a fair question.
I'm trying not to be blasphemous, because if Patrick Mahomes was on this team, I'm sure he'd figure it out. I'm trying not to be blasphemous, but I think to me, he definitely would have a harder time. And then the other end of that argument, and I know Tom Waddle, if he was listening right now, would literally pull all his hair follicles out. But if Mitch Trubisky was on the Kansas City Chiefs, he would be tenfold the quarterback he is today. I am so confident of that. It's not even funny, but we can't prove it. So,
but this is what it has proven. I mean, benching Mitch has proven that idea that you thought maybe Nagy wasn't the guy. Now you pretty much know he's not the guy, and his offense is what he was brought for. He's not capable of executing. So Mitch with a Sean Payton, with a Kyle Shanahan, with Bill Belichick, or
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh, somebody.
Not Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh from the Ravens. I wanted to clarify.
Somebody that really understands offensive football and really understands working with the guys that you have at your disposal, I think could have gotten way more out of Mitch in these last 4 seasons.
You brought up Sean Payton. Look at how he adjusted to Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill isn't this electric arm talent of a quarterback. Looked pretty good last week running that offense. It's about the coach. It's about the system. It's about the players you have around you. It's not always about the quarterback. We're trying to figure out how to have a great quarterback in this city, and I don't think Bears fans completely understand how that works. We already had Jay Cutler. We've had Jay Cutler and Mitchell Trubisky in here. There are extremely talented quarterbacks that have certain flaws. As a coach, you have to find out how to get the best out of those players. All players have flaws. Very few Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady and Barry Sanders and Walter Payton's out there. All players have flaws, so you have to find a way as a coach to get the best out of those players. That's my opinion. And we were talking about earlier, Mitch should smack Nagy as he comes off the field when he throws his 4th touchdown pass. And we had some different suggestions in the chat, and I thought some of these were interesting. Mitch should give Matt Nagy a stone cold stunner. We got Chubbs with the RKO out of nowhere. Mo Bierman wants the people's elbow, from The Rock. And it's a shame because we should have brought on my good buddy, from the WWE, D'Lo Brown. I'm always talking to him. He's a huge fan of Barlissimo's and mine because we're always calling in to David Kaplan on Cap and Hoodie on ESPN 1000, and he's a huge fan. D'Lo Brown is of Cap and Hoodie, and that's how he became somewhat of a fan of mine. And then, of course, Barlissimo with the amazing draft coverage he puts in every year and tape breakdown that he does. And, maybe we could have D'Lo Brown, do the frog splash on him, so we have some different ideas. I think the Stone Cold Stunner is definitely something that we should be considered. We got the Rikishi. Chubb says that Matt Nagy should get the Rikishi. And if you remember who Rikishi was, that is too funny. So let's move on because, we were talking about would Mitchell Trubisky be a great quarterback with the Kansas City Chiefs. And it always seems like when we're talking about the Chicago Bears that it always comes back to the Kansas City Chiefs. And thank God for that. Thank God we have a certain somebody in our house that knows a lot about the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'll bring you into the conversation here, Johnny B. You've been waiting patiently while Greg celebrates the return of his baby boy, Mitchell Trubisky. But I want to ask you that, as the Chiefs fan and as someone that saw Matt Nagy, run your offense in Kansas City for a short period of time, has seen all this kind of unfold here in Chicago as a Chicago resident yourself. Do you think in an alternate universe, and Patrick Mahomes was drafted by the Bears and Mitchell Trubisky was drafted by the Chiefs, where would we be at right now? What would we be saying about both quarterbacks?
That's a very good question. I mean, obviously, you guys kind of touched on it. I do think that the development of Trubisky is an issue. Obviously, if you went with Andy Reid, I think he would be much better off than he is right now, reading defenses, catering the offense more towards what Mitch does well instead of just trying to force him into an offense maybe that doesn't suit his skill set. Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. I think he's going to succeed wherever he goes, just with his competitiveness, his willing to work, the things that he does to get better, both, with the coaching staff and on his own are second to none from what they say and all the, what he does to get ready for the season. And he's just a winner. He has a winner's mentality. He was raised with a winner's mentality, son of a professional athlete.
Pedigree.
And he's just a winner. But I can tell you for sure that Trubisky would be way, way better off if he'd been developed by somebody like Andy Reid. And that's a big part of it. If you draft these players, I mean, you often see it, players go somewhere else and then they look pretty good. You got to get with the right coaches and you got to develop them. If you can't develop them, then are you doing your job as a coach? Probably not.
And that's another detriment to Ryan Pace, because Ryan Pace drafted Mitch Trubisky, in the John Fox era. He knew that he was going to move on from Fox. He got the quarterback he wanted, and he also chose who he wanted to groom that quarterback. So by doing that, he failed again because he chose a guy that really didn't have a lot of experience. He was in Reid's system. They ran that together, but he wasn't really, to my understanding, wasn't ultra pivotal in that offense, at the time. So, and then you give him the keys to develop the second overall pick and bring that offense in, and it just has not worked out. So that's another reason why he probably deserves to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, he definitely was obviously the offensive coordinator here, but Andy Reid's running the show. Let's make no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's running the show. He's the one with the creative playbook, the secret playbook that he hides and holds. And they said that they add new plays. Kansas City, Mahomes said it before, is they'll add plays that they've never even had looked at the entire season before the playoffs. Like they'll just say, we're that confident enough in who we have and what we're doing and the coaching staff that we'll put these new crazy wrinkles in. Even before the Super Bowl, they said they added a couple. One of the particular plays was the shift Rose Bowl parade right play, which was in the first quarter where they had all these guys in motion do this spin, and it was fourth down, and they ended up getting a first down, and Mahomes scored the first touchdown. So you do these creative plays and add all these wrinkles, even through the Super Bowl. You're not just staying pat. You're always developing the offense. And if you don't have somebody that can run it or you have confidence in it, it's just impossible.
Yeah, for sure. So I just any more reason to dump on Ryan Pace, I'm all for it, because there's plenty of them.
So, before we get into our world famous segment of Johnny B for Through, we always got to make sure we hit that funky music for our guys over at FanBags, our official sponsors here at FanBags. So, I always appreciate my guy Brian Potter taking care of us, and so we take care of him in this way. So that Mitchell Trubisky Love Fest session was brought to you by FanBags Cornhole, Chicago's official supplier of professional cornhole boards and bags. Choose from any of their officially licensed designs or have my boy Brian design a custom set using anything from a selfie to your company's logo. Visit www.fanbagscornhole.com and use the promo code BRAGS to get 10% off your entire order. That's www.fanbagscornhole.com. www.fanbagscornhole.com and use the promo code BRAGS for 10% off. Step up your game with Fanbags Cornhole. How about it?
Okay.
I might get some pictures for next week. I'm dropping the ball with my fan bags, guys. It's the holiday season here coming up. We're a few weeks away, and I cannot emphasize this enough. If you're a guy that enjoys playing cornhole or bean bags, as we call it here in the Midwest, bags, you gotta go into fanbagscornhole.com and check out my guy Brian's stuff. Top line, top shelf stuff, best bags. I know a lot of people are very particular about the kind of bag they use when they throw. His bags are perfect. All of it is professional line grade. You'll see his, apparel and equipment out on the professional circuit that you see on ESPN on TV. He's sponsored by some of the best throwers in the world. So Brian Potter at FanBags, make sure you go check it out. And if you use the promo code BRAGS, you'll get 10% off. So we appreciate Brian Potter over at FanBags for sponsoring us all season long. And make sure you go and pick some stuff up for Christmas, the holiday season coming up, and my birthday on Sunday. So you can get me a bag set. If somebody in the chat here, I'll pick somebody in the chat right now to get me a bag set. And of course that's Chubbs82. No, I'm kidding. So I'm kidding. So of course we bring back our guy Johnny B for 3. The Mitchell Trubisky Love Fest session is over for right now. We will hold off the dog. I'll call off the dogs until Sunday on my birthday to get all lathered up for my baby boy Mitchell Trubisky. We might even bust out the Truther shirt. What do you think? Do we even have that in the hopper? I think we took it out of the hopper. Oh my God, he's gonna have to play well first before we bust out the Truther shirt.
I think it's still in the store though. Maybe I took it out. I can't remember.
Hey, by the end of Sunday night.
Let me get this straight. You're excited to see Mitch go back out there.
Yes. Well, you saw me in our group chat for our fantasy football league announcing that someone can pick him up. I got Kyler Murray, so I'm pretty much saying I got Tom Brady on my bench. But I was tempted to pick up Mitchell on Thanksgiving Day when I knew that he was coming in. But
how about this, though? How about this to help your boy out? How about, as good as we say this Bears defense is, how about they give him a short field or two? That hasn't really happened much lately. They're playing pretty decent. But can we give these Bears a short field? So maybe they can get a turnover and just go.
Well, the last time they did that to start a game was against the Carolina Panthers, and they were in control of that game for the rest of the game when they did that. So I do think that is a key to the game, Johnny B, 100%, because as we were saying, the way Aaron Rodgers gets off the starts, especially against the Bears, that's going to be vital. So without further ado, Johnny B, this is Johnny B for 3. And do we even have a header? We're going to have to get you a header. I don't know if we have a header.
No, we got plenty of stuff. We'll get all the graphics. We're set up.
Well, good, because we want to make sure.
He's milk bottom, baby. He comes from the bottom to the top. So if I don't have a header, I don't have a header, man. I'll just roll.
We will get you everything you need because this Johnny B for 3 segment has taken the world by storm. You have so many fans worldwide because of your infamous duck races and, of course, all the money you make for people sitting on their couch every weekend. And in a 2020 season, that's the 2020 year that's been as tough as ever for everybody. Everybody could use a little extra cash without moving from their couch. So I'm going to let you take the floor, Johnny B, as you do every week in our Johnny B for 3. That's right, Alex Acevedo. He's back.
Well, I wish this show would have happened yesterday because Thanksgiving, it was lit. We were totally on fire yesterday. But we'll do these picks. We're 15 and 17 on the show, but game day is where it's at. I've been giving game day picks with the video. I also got some people hitting me up on Twitter. We get some other game day picks out. We're 15 and 6 on the game day, including the Robert Woods anytime touchdown score. And if you put that with the first TD of the game last Monday night, that was a good one. So overall, we're 30 and 23. Not my usual, but with the COVID and stuff, it's a little tricky, but we're still making some money. So let's get into it this week. Johnny B for 3, number 1 pick. The Chiefs +4. Brady looked dreadful. Mahomes looked delightful. Didn't even get off my couch when it was down Last drive, minute and 43 left. Didn't even have to get up. I knew we were going to win that one. Patrick Mahomes has never lost a game by more than one score. You take the Chiefs +4 and the tees, put them with the Saints at -1. Taysom Hill's not turning that ball over, and that Saints defense is looking good, and I really like this week. I really like this one. Number 2 pick for the week, Rams, Aaron Donald. I heard you guys talking about him earlier. The defense is playing great. They held him almost every play last week. You know what? He said something about it in the media, so I think he might get some calls. I think Aaron Donald's going to have a big game. I'm going to take the Rams at -6.5, and they're getting hot at the right time. And this third pick, it's a little bit of a prop play. It's a little bit crazy, but you can make some money. I'm going to take Herbert, who's thrown 7 games in a row, I believe, with 2 touchdowns or more. Put him with Rodgers and Russell Wilson on a parlay. Each guy over 1.5 TD passes. You want to get a little crazy and go for the big money. Want to throw Mahomes on there too, which I don't have in the bet. And that's kind of a weird little fun modern day pick to kind of make a little money. And that's my number 3 Johnny B for 3 picks this week. Let's make some money, baby. Woo!
Johnny B. Oh. See, I got my extra icon in. I got to get it out of here. I learned that I can do little extra stuff if I have my phone also in the stream, because then I can load stuff into the hopper while Johnny B's talking. So that's what I was doing.
Fascinating.
You know what I got to learn too is you see on that icon, see it does the Brags in the Stands icon. See if it does a different icon here. Watch, I'll show you. See, I need that Brags in the Stands icon. See what I don't know. We got to figure that out.
You can do it. You can figure it out.
We'll do anything we put our minds to here at Brags in the Stands. So there you go. You got your 3 picks, as you always do here at Johnny B for 3. Making some money from your couch. Were you able to make any money yesterday on Turkey Day while you were hanging out, stuffing your face, watching some football? I know they cut one of the games short, so we only had 2. Were you able to get in on any prop bets, Johnny B?
Yesterday was really good. I had the Texans -3 alone. I had the Redskins at +11, I believe. Chiefs with the Texans at +4. So that was a winner. I had prop bet for Fuller anytime touchdown score, which was a +128, I believe. I think I was either 4 or 5-0 yesterday. It was a very good day.
Very good. Very good. So
nice.
Without further ado, before we get into the pick'ems, we always got to make sure we check in, because Johnny B's always doing the best for our people.
Ducks line up. Ducks line up.
That's the Ducks line up cue. So that's what we're getting to, because I know a lot of people have been patiently waiting in the chat for your, gracious, you had such a cool giveaway.
Oh, wrong side.
Exactly.
You couldn't see it.
You've taken care of the fans here at Brags in the Stands. The first giveaway for the duck race, you gave the Jordan picture out that Chris Clancy was nice enough. Did I say his name correct, Johnny? Did I butcher his name? Chris Clancy was nice enough to give our Jordan picture away, and then you get the Hampton jersey from another distributor of yours that's your friend of yours, and we really appreciate that here at Brags in the Stands, and I know all the viewers and listeners that are tuning in are excited to hear who the lucky winner is. Do you want to play the race one last time? Because it was such an epic race. I feel like the people need to see it. Do we just all right, I'll just show the race, because we had the setup and then we had the race, but you got to see the race because it was such an amazing finish that we'd be doing a disservice for the new viewers, and unfortunately you won't be able to enter into this race. You're going to have to wait for the next race and the next giveaway to win something, because the winner has already been picked. Johnny's got it in his hand here, but we'll let you enjoy the greatness of the second Brags in the Stands Johnny B duck race, because he does so many duck races with his Chiefs kingdom, and he's nice enough to do a little Brags in the Stands duck race segment here. So here's our second race. It was such an incredible finish.
Funky QB in the lead, and now it's 54. Bald is beautiful as he goes down the creaky, streaky area, and he looks behind him, and he's got a little lead. It's Ulracher with the lead, and Sweden is trying to go back-to-back, and here comes Butkus. But Big Brian's got the lead, and he's got no other duck in sight. And they come to the world-famous horseshoe here at duck races. It's 54 with the lead, and here comes Sweetness, and here comes Butkus, and they're trying to catch him, and they got a little breeze behind their back, and all the other Ducks are catching up, and here comes the coach, but Sweetness looking go back to back, but the coach has got the stream as they come to the jungle. Who's it going to be as Peyton goes through, and he's got position, and it's Walter Payton looking like he might get it, and who is it? It's the coach, Ditka, with a come-from-behind victory. Coach Iron Mike Ditka with a great comeback, bear down edition. We're not here to start no trouble. The Bears are just here to do the Super Bowl shuffle. Woo!
That was a great comeback by the coach. I didn't see how far he was and behind.
I looked at that replay in slow motion so many times. I have no idea where Peyton went, where Sweetness went. Sometimes you get these back currents. It's hilarious. You hear about all these rip tides and stuff like in the ocean in Lake Michigan. But it happens in this creek. Like weird things happen with the current. It is hilarious. I still don't know where he went.
Incredible. Incredible comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. To the Super Bowl shuffle there, obviously, at the end in the 85 Bears.
Well, that's exciting stuff, and I know Brandon's excited to receive it. He already thinks he won, so I know he's chomping at the bit to find out who the winner is. Do we have a drum roll audio, or do I just make one myself?
Well, you could do a drum roll. I have it in my notes here to do a drum roll.
I got one.
We had about 80 drawings or so, not including the extra drawings for those who DM'd me that were in on the on the show, that watched the show. So it was pretty good. And we're not quite there yet for what I did for my other duck races, but we're building momentum. And you can do the drum roll. Let's show it again.
You ready?
Yeah.
Drum roll, please.
Right here. Bam.
Oh my goodness gracious. That's right, Chubbs82. You are reading correctly. This man pulled your name, and you will be receiving the one and only. That's right, Chubbs. If you didn't know, Jake, Chubbs82, his real name is Brandon. You get so used to their Twitter names that you don't realize that this is something I realized while I was at Bears 100. You'll meet these people and they have totally different names, or you get used to calling them one way, what you see on Twitter. I told somebody I feel like when they walk around, we should all have our Twitter icons like hanging above our head just so we can figure out who the hell is who. So that's right. Congratulations to Chubbs82. He's very excited in the chat. You have won the signed Dan Hampton jersey, our second giveaway from Johnny B. Gracious enough to do these amazing giveaways here. What in the heck was that?
That was a bear growl. So
it sounded like a burp. Play that again. Play that again. Because man, I wish my guy Joey, the goon over there at the Goon and the Tooch over there, fantasy football goon. He when he was my co-host for Shy Fans in the Stands, he'd always play fart drops for audio. He was infamous for his fart drops, and that one kind of sounded like a wet fart a little bit. Play it again. So, congratulations, Chubbs82. Brandon, you have won. I don't know, everybody's going to start calling you Brandon on Twitter, but congratulations. We're going to have many more giveaways, not just on the duck races, but we're going to do, and I'm going to provide a giveaway. I swear to God, I feel bad now because Johnny's doing all the giveaways here, and I'm going to have to step up my game here with the giveaways, because that's what we want to do. We want to give back to the fans.
We're going to give away one day that Greg comes to your house and cleans the entire thing.
No,
so that's the next one.
Greg will come to your house and
Greg will come to your house and clean it top to bottom.
Well, that's interesting you mentioned that, because I was going to talk about that later, but I did get to shoveling some yardage the other day. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that here in a little bit when we get to our top shots and I talk about nonsense stuff that Jake listens to me blabber about. So we got to get to our pick'ems because Chubbs, I meant to screenshot Chubbs' tweet, but he had a message to send to you and Johnny. Chubbs wanted me, and I'll take.
What? You got to stop doing that in mid-sentence, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Chubbs wanted me to tell you that
Me?
Chubbs wanted me to tell the both of you to suck it because I picked Washington to win last week, and they did it. They won, and when I made my infamous switch last week for the Cowboys-Vikings game, Chubbs kind of pushed me in that direction.
No. Your infamous switch was the Packers-Colts game.
I'm sorry, Packers-Colts. That's right. Yeah. I apologize. Packers-Colts. I got the Cowboys game because Ezekiel Elliott pissing me off. Twofold, Chubbs.
Yeah, you did well. You did well. I had a very bad. I was 5-9 last week. Had a real bad week. You both went 7-7. I have a pick that maybe Chubbs would like today, but I doubt it. It's a little ballsy. But let's check them out.
Let's check them out.
Maybe kill this logo for Johnny. Johnny is reigning supreme. He's got.
I'm climbing you, Jake.
You're climbing.
I'm freaking climbing.
So baby. Yeah, Johnny's got a nice 3-game lead here, cementing himself as the king. I am sitting 3 games back at 99, and Greg is 2 games back from me, 5 games back from the leader at 97. So it's anybody's game. I decided to make a couple swings today to see if we could make some ground. So let's check them out. So yesterday, Texans, Detroit. Johnny and I took the Texans. Greg took the Lions. We all know who won that game. The Texans came through. And then across the board, we all took the Cowboys.
Greg?
What'd you say?
What happened with that? Washington's your team. What happened there?
Well, I finally got my one right, so I figured that's called cashing out, as you would call it, Johnny. When you're at the poker table, you finally get one, you got to cash out. So I cashed out on Washington football team.
Tragically, the Cowboys strength coach passed away, and when things like that happen, I expect the team to rally and to ball out and to do, to play well in the memory of the person that tragically passed away. But they decided that they were still the Dallas Cowboys, and that didn't mean much to them. So they got their asses handed to them. So lesson learned, the Cowboys are quite bad. Chargers at Buffalo Bills. Across the board, we are taking the Bills. Titans at Colts. Greg and I are taking the Titans. Johnny B's taking the Colts. I know that DeForest Buckner is not in that game. I think they got a couple guys banged up, so not having that guy DeForest playing in that game, just kind of swayed me a little bit because Derrick Henry is a mountain of a man. Carolina at Minnesota. Greg and I are taking the Panthers. Johnny B's taking the Vikings. My thought there was it's Teddy's homecoming back to the Vikings. So I'm thinking it's one of those storylines. I'm thinking, okay.
People die in fairy tales every day.
Exactly.
200 yards.
Yeah, that's fair because the Panthers give it up on the ground for sure. So I just went storyline with that one. Sometimes you gotta play the fairy tale, and I'm playing the fairy tale. Browns at Jaguars. It is the return of the infamous Mike Glennon. So taking the Browns across the board, no brainer there.
How ironic that the week Mitchell Trubisky returns is the same week that Mike Glennon.
We might get Mitch versus Mike Glennon.
Oh my God, that's a great point. A few weeks from now, I mean, regardless for the Bears, if it was Foles or Mitch, because Foles played with Jaguars, and I believe Sylvie called this the circle of suck because the Jaguars and the Bears have rotated these terrible quarterbacks, and I think the other backup that they brought in, the practice squad guy, what was his name? The name is escaping me, but he was also a part of this circle of suck. So the return of Mike Glennon.
that'll be a fun storyline if we do get that Mitch Glennon battle. So let's hope. Fingers crossed. So here we got Giants at Bengals. Just lost Joe Burrow, unfortunately. So we are all taking the Giants across the board. Arizona at Patriots. Greg and I are taking the Cardinals. Johnny B is taking the Patriots. Johnny's taken a couple of swings on his own this week where he could really make up some ground because
that's kind of my logic right now. Being up is I'm going for defense right now. Then that's how I'm a gambler. If I'm up, I'm going to take some chances to really get ahead.
And so you're going the Cardinals game because of the Kyler Murray shoulder injury. Is that kind of where you're going with that?
I'm not a huge Kyler Murray fan just yet. I think that he has flashes where I think he looks really good, but I can't get over the fact that every time I see him, like from a distance, it looks like somebody's kid's on the field. So I'm not quite there. It's definitely the shoulder that has me concerned. And the Patriots, even though they're a little bit up and down, they've shown some defensive, some pretty decent defensive games.
Yeah.
They do some hitting. So that's kind of why.
Hey,
let me
good
just tell
coaching
you,
wins games.
as a Kyler Murray fantasy football owner this year, you're crazy. I get what you're saying. He's small, and I definitely think a good coach that has a good game plan could box him in. But even against in his recent game where he was banged up, he still made plays. And the game prior where he had the game-winning touchdown pass, the Hail Mary, what were they calling it? The Hail Murray.
Hail Murray.
And, even in that game, I thought they had a good game plan against him, and he still finds a way to get, whatever, on the ground or in the air. He can make plays, and he's not one to be underestimated, as small as he is, but I definitely think that shoulder injury is going to be something to monitor. It's got me nervous. I know that because I'm trying to take down you two in our fantasy football league, but that's a story for a different day, so go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, you got to travel across country, play in the cold.
Yep, that's true.
So that could happen.
He's a fantastic fantasy football option because he runs quite a bit.
Oh yeah, he's. If Greg wouldn't have taken him, I was keen in on his name.
Real life football. They lost last week, I believe, and they should have lost the Hail Mary game. This is real life football I'm talking.
This is real life football.
He's very good, though. I think you're selling him a little short. He reminds me very much of Russell Wilson.
I'm selling him a little short. Dude, you can't even make
Set him up.
Mike.
He is short, so I guess I can't sell him any shorter than he is. So,
moving on. Here we go. This is the one. This is the one where I'm trying to pull ahead in a ridiculous fashion. I am taking the Jets against the Dolphins this week. Obviously, no one else with the brain is doing such things. But this is one of those weeks where you have I can't think of his name. Their quarterback's coming back. Their receivers are healthy. They kind of have a complete team together. You had Frank Gore last week saying he refuses to be on an 0-16 team. These guys are ready for an upset. It's been all year they haven't won a game, and I'm picking it today that they're going to beat the Dolphins. Dolphins have to travel up from a toasty Miami, Florida, play in New Jersey, where it is garbage. And I'm just pulling it. I'm just calling it. Something's got to give at some point. I'm taking the Jets.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on. Here's another. This is another instance where Johnny could really do some damage. Raiders at Falcons. Greg and I both taking the Raiders in this game. Johnny is taking the Falcons. What is that swing there? That's like 1, 2, 3, 4 games right there that if they go in your favor, that's a huge swing for you.
I'm expecting a little bit of a letdown here by the Raiders. Obviously, they put everything, their heart and soul, into that game against the Chiefs in Las Vegas last week, the game that I was supposed to be at until COVID took my tickets away. And then obviously Mahomes just ripped their heart out in front of their face and ate it. So I'm expecting a little bit of a letdown after that emotional game. That's why I chose it. And it's in the Dome. They got to go all the way across the country to the East Coast. That's a long flight. Good. And I'm feeling an upset there. I don't know why.
Todd Gurley is not playing in that game. Julio Jones is not playing in that game.
I did know Julio Jones was not.
Yeah, Julio Jones is not. I just saw that today. So they are undermanned a little bit, but who knows? They just got upset just the same. I think they had 9 points they scored last week, so they're due to do something. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Baltimore at Steelers. This is a Tuesday night game at this point. I don't even know if this is going to get played, but one of the unfortunate souls who has COVID happens to be Lamar Jackson. So we are absolutely taking Steelers across the board. Even with Lamar Jackson, I'm still taking the Steelers in that game. Absolutely.
Yeah. Just make him throw. You're good to go.
Right. Saints at Broncos. I almost took the Broncos in this game because of everything we're talking about. Saints coming up to Denver. That's a tough defense. You don't really have – you still are just kind of running the ball. Vic knows how to stop the run. Weather's a factor, but Denver's offense is just so bad, and the Saints D is playing well. Couldn't do it in this one. We're all taking the Saints. Niners at Rams. Rams across the board. Rams are playing excellent football. I think we can all see that. And the 49ers don't have a quarterback, technically. So, Rams across the board. Chiefs across the board, no brainer.
Oh, appreciate that, guys. Appreciate that.
I don't think I've picked against the Chiefs at all this year. One time.
Well, if you haven't picked against the Chiefs, you've won 9 times.
Yes, that is true. So they don't make me look like a fool. So I always take.
Why are you the way that you are?
Chicago Bears at Green Bay Packers. We could have saved that gift for this moment right here. Greggy's taking the Bears. Johnny and I are taking.
That's
the
right. And I'd like to say something because
let me get you on the screen.
Okay, let's do it.
Hold on. Here we go.
You ready? Let me tell you. The Chicago Bears are going to win this game on Sunday. It is my birthday, for one. So that is number one reason. Number two, Mitchell Trubisky is back. And all you bums had me convinced for a minute that he should have been out. And now I know for sure that he shouldn't have been out. He should have never been out. And you're going to find out on Sunday as to why. And he can get out of the pocket. He can make some plays. If he's healthy, he's going to show all you people, and I hope nothing more for Mitchell Trubisky than to come out in this game on Sunday Night Football on the primetime stage and to give a double bird to you, every one of you doubters that want to make these every one of you stupid jokesters and all your snark and all your gifs and all your memes. Everything else, I hope he gives a double, whatever the hell, however you pronounce it. GIFs, GIFs, whatever. I hope he sticks it to all you. He says he don't pay attention. I hope he does it. I hope he sticks it to Matt Nagy. And the heart wants what the heart wants. And I am picking the Chicago Bears to win this Sunday. It's the first time I picked them in over a month. And they're going to win 24-23 on a game-winning touchdown pass by Mitchell Trubisky with 37 seconds left in the game. And that's what it's going to be. That's what I said, and that's what it's going to be. So get ready, and when they do, then we're going to get back on board with trying to get back into the playoffs. That's what's going to happen this Sunday. I can't wait. It's my birthday, and Mitchell Trubisky is going to bring me a 4-touchdown gift. Just you wait and see. Get that stupid thing off the screen.
I was doing a little reading during your rant. I'm sorry.
Oh, my God.
Doing a little reading during your rant. Sorry. You're back.
God damn, Johnny. You're lucky. You should be nice to us because we were gracious enough to let you guys have Patrick Mahomes as I knock my phone off. And so, yes, the Bears are a lock. I don't know what the spread is, but you're picking against them, Johnny, and you're wrong. So you're going to find
I'm also
out.
picking against them.
Yeah, but I don't care. You're both wrong. So that's just, you might as well chalk that up at the top and 98-63.
I'll take that Bears win because then it makes the year more interesting for a little bit. If they lose that game, then you're thinking, all right, it's F this, get Nagy.
I can't wait. I'm so excited that we don't have to watch Nick Foles, and maybe we'll see a competent offense on Sunday night. Maybe.
Yeah. Seahawks across the board. Obviously, the Eagles are in a free fall.
Yes,
we're done.
We done. Seahawks. I need my guy Chris Carson to come back. I really do because I got him slated to play in our fantasy league, and I know all things come back to our fantasy league, but I got Chris Carson. I've been waiting patiently for him to come back. He's a good running back.
Well, you need him because Ezekiel Elliott's about to be a waste of a roster spot.
One of my partners who does predominantly Chiefs artwork, she's a portrait specialist. She just did a commission of Chris Carson for somebody out in Seattle, and the thing is insane. If you see it,
I think I saw a picture of it on Twitter.
I tweeted it a couple times. Like the girl, man, it is no joke. Like
really good. Well,
maybe that's a sign for you, Greg. She just finished it today.
I've been patiently waiting for him to come back. He's on a good team, but I got him playing Monday night, and I got him as one of my guys starting. And I used to have Travis Fulgham, but I dropped him. So I don't know if he doesn't play. I don't know if I'll have anybody to switch with him. So I need Chris Carson to get out there this week, but we'll see. You know, I'm doing good. Jake's
put him in your flex so you can actually.
That's true. Oh, yeah, well, I got that, but I guess I just picked up Zach Ertz, not to get too deep in my team because I know nobody gives a shit about my team. But I am excited because Jake's in first in our league. You know, of course, John wears the crown here for our pick'ems, but Jake wears the crown right now in our regular season. I wear the crown because I'm your defending champion. So we've got three kings on the show right here. We three kings, you know. I mean, it's the Christmas season, so the three kings. What's that?
I probably have for being in first place. I absolutely do not have one of the best teams. I just happen to be winning my weeks. So I'm a little concerned.
I've kind of been under that category because I've had so many injuries. So I've kind of just been finding a way. And each week I kind of play somebody that only scores around 100, 110, 105 points. So that gives me a chance. But my team is getting healthy right now. You know, that can change in a moment's notice. We all know that in fantasy football, especially with COVID this year, because I know Eric was crying about, you know, what are we going to do? You know, and what do you guys think? You know, we're all here sitting, you know, a few weeks ago when Tennessee almost didn't play because all the COVID issues they had. You know, we started to consider maybe adding a roster spot, and I know there were some people for it and some people on the fence. I was certainly one of those people on the fence for it because I enjoy our roster moves in the middle of the week, and I feel like the more roster spots we add, the less moves there will be to make. You know, so you know, what do you guys think now with the Ravens? With the Ravens now having their COVID issues, and we're getting so late into the season. You know, and this does, you know, have an effect on our playoffs for fantasy football. What is your guys' thoughts on what we should do when it comes to that? Should we add a roster spot or kind of leave it as is? We've almost made. That's what I feel. I feel like we've made it this far into the season, you know. But you know, if it gets worse for other teams,
when they canceled the Pittsburgh, I think it was Tennessee and Pittsburgh, they forced them onto a bye week, and then I brought it up that maybe we should consider it. Nothing came about it. We went about 7, 8 weeks of nothing happening, and it's just a variable you got to deal with. So if you're
that's how I feel.
If you're
it's
worried about if you're worried about a Steeler or a Raven going into this week, don't play them.
Right.
Well, I played a guy with two quarterbacks last week, so I don't want to hear.
It's the same one crying about how he's got his hands tied. Right.
You're on the bench, Eric.
Yes, you're 100% right because we had him on last week to end the show. We should have probably just brought him on again and just lashed him again for his opinions because you're right. He won
because of Taysom Hill for sure.
He pulled the snake stuff. Eric pulled out the snake last week and played two quarterbacks against Johnny B, which was totally out of bounds. I'm with you, Johnny B. Totally foul play. Eric has no integrity if he's watching, and he knows it. And then now this week, he's crying about not being able to fill a roster because of COVID issues. Wah, wah, wah. You know what? It's called put the ones that can't play. Exactly. Thank you. Put the ones that can't play on your bench and go pick up other guys. He's saying, "Oh, I got to take a goose egg." No, you don't. It's called bench players, Eric.
Play other guys.
Yeah, you got such a great team. Jeez Louise. So it'll be interesting. And Ezekiel better step it up for me because this week.
Well, one of the interesting things is head to head doesn't even matter in our league. I don't know if you realize this, but it's all about points.
Yeah, because I beat Eric the first time, and I was behind him when we were tied.
Yeah, it's all about points, and I just realized I thought that head-to-head matchups mattered, but apparently they don't. So,
I have no control on what does and doesn't matter. I just let the settings because we're last second league. So when the league starts, I just hit go. We should definitely, because last year, if I'm not mistaken, because while we're talking about our league here on the air, the payout is $800 for winner, $100 for regular season champ, and $100 for points champ. That was last year, correct? We're sticking with that because I don't think that ever got discussed. And Adam was telling me, hey, let me pay you the money. I think we should just pay the winner, and then the two people that win the points and the regular season, they just don't have to pay. That's my opinion. But
by the way, how did that trade go for Eric when he got Derrick Henry and then Adam got those two other chumps? Yeah.
Yeah.
Another.
Well, you know what? As a league, we'll have to review Eric's, resume and see if he's going to be allowed in our league next year. We'll see. We love you, Eric. And our guy Chubbs, who got to win, the Dan Hampton signed jersey. He is picking the Bears to win 24-23 as well. So there it is in all its glory, Chubbs, coming to you very soon. You and Johnny B are going to have to exchange information, and then I'll know where you live. So how do you like that? No, I'm kidding.
He's going to come clean your house.
PO box. You never know.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, and you know where I live at all times because I post it on social media. And yes, we were talking about earlier how I shovel. It's the shoveling season, and you guys know how I am about my shoveling. I made a little video I wanted to share with you before we jet on out of here because Johnny B's known for his duck races, but I'm known for the shoveling season, and I always like to warm everyone's heart with my shoveling spirit. So this was my little video I wanted to share with you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm all about. See, Johnny B might be about the duck. I'm about that grass shoveling life. There's that camera. Look at what beautiful thing. See, Jake might be shaking his head right now as I share this video here on Brags in the Stands, but this is what we're going to be covering this winter, and that's me dominating Mother Nature every year. And I've dominated once again. Every subdivision has snow. That lady probably has snow, but I do not have snow. As you can see, everyone has snow. I have no snow. I shoveled it. It's gone. Greg 1, Snow 0. Signing out. Bear down. So there it is, and this is.
You thought I was already shaking my head. You just anticipated it.
Yes. Well, whenever we arrive to this point in the show, I'm always going to pull some nonsense. And I know Jake's never on board with it.
No, I love it. I do love it.
Well, hey, and I like to scare my neighbors. So, that's what I was doing that morning. I'm off, when I'm a bricklayer. So when it's this way, as far as weather, we normally get to sit at home unless we're tarped in or we're doing indoor work. So, I had the day off and I was bored, but I not only got to have a little fun with the neighbors, but I also got to have a little fun with my daughter, and we built our first snowman of the season. Cool. There's beautiful little Addison, and it was a lot of fun, and it actually held up for a few days, like a whole day. It was like this, and then it melted, and then Addie was like, it melted, and then she was like, I was like, I know it's gone, and she's like, make another one, and I was like, there's no snow, Addison. I cannot do that. So but it was fun.
That's like, is that Mitch? Is that what that is?
You could tell just by that little grin on his face. He knew it was the Mitch Snowman. He knew he was coming. It's got the orange eyes and the Bears hat, so you knew he was. It very well. You're right.
Flaming cheese in the eyes.
I didn't think at the time because it was on Tuesday, I believe. But yeah, little did we know
that Snowman resurrected his career.
Mitchell Trubisky's career. You're right about that. So I did have another video before we jet on out of here because I was going to pull up a bunch. Normally in Packer week, it's a holiday week. So, I tried to, cut my social media down a little bit and spend my time with the family. But for the next Packer week, the last week of the season, I'll show a lot of these videos, but something I'm known for aside from shooting video at practice or at games, or wherever I'm at as far as sports events go, is anytime I see a Packer fan, I am compelled to harass them. And this is going to be a little trickier going forward, post COVID life, if we can ever get there. But pre-COVID life, it was fun to, come up to a Packer fan and harass them because they are always wearing those obnoxious green jerseys and they want it. That's why they wear it. They're trying to get your attention, so attention is what I give them. So this was one of my shots from training camp a few years ago, and I had Ryan Pace, Jake's favorite guy, in on the action. Boo! Boo! Pace! Boo this man! Ryan, boo this man! Boo! Come on, boo! Boo!
Poor kid.
Yeah, well, I was harassing him all day that day. He was sitting near me at camp. He was a good sport about it. I always try to keep it light, but I always got to make sure I'm keeping, if they're going to come in our house, especially at training camp, and try to take over. I don't know, when you go to Chiefs camp, Johnny, do you ever see, a Broncos fan or a Raiders fan try to wear their apparel? See? So that's what I'm saying. I think Bears fans are a little nicer. That's nice on my part. Like, I don't think that's mean, because
I got a Packers fan that lives across the street from me. He just introduced himself because he saw my Bears flag.
God.
And then he's like, "You ready for Sunday night?" And I go, "Probably to get our asses kicked." I said, "Are you a Bears fan?" He goes, "No, Packers." I'm like, "Oh, of course you are." There's so many Packers fans in Texas. I don't get it. I don't know why.
Makes no sense at all, but we'll see what happens. Maybe the Bears will come out on top, come out victorious, and our guy Money Mitch can give me a birthday wish of a game-winning touchdown. That's what I want. It's nothing too much.
I want that for you as well. So
that's not like asking for a winning lottery ticket or something like that. That's not too much to ask.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I'm excited for it. It's my birthday on Sunday, so make sure you guys tune in. It is. I've said it 900 times. Normally, I would call it my birthday month, and I would celebrate it every day. I make everybody, but I've become less obnoxious in my older days. I'm still obnoxious, but not quite as obnoxious as I once was. You can vouch for that at the very least, Jake.
Yeah,
right?
that's fair.
That's fair. Thank you. So that about wraps things up for tonight. I want to thank everybody in the chat for hanging out. It's a lot of fun tonight. No guests tonight. Just wanted to hang out. I know all the people that we asked to come on. It's a holiday weekend. Want to leave them to their families. Want to thank Johnny B for his awesome giveaway. Chubbs, Brandon, you've won the giveaway. Congratulations to you again. Again, want to thank everybody in the chat for hanging out all night long. Brandon, Alex, Mo Bierman, Chubbs82, of course. These guys, Ron Rupp now, Bears and Cigars. We have some pretty cool supporters that show up every week for us and make the show better by engaging in the chat. So if you're watching this, later on and you want to be involved in the show, hang out in the chats live with us and we'll get your questions in and your comments up on the screen. So, I also want to thank everybody from last week that tuned in for our college basketball special with Sasha Stefanovic. We had almost 4,000 viewers to that show, and I know there was a lot of new viewers for Purdue basketball that tuned in to that show, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I hope you keep joining us here at Brags in the Stands. We're definitely going to cover more than just the Chicago Bears, but it's Bears-Packers week, so we were full-out Bears this week, but Purdue got off to a good start. I felt like 1-1 on the season. They lost to Clemson last night. Clemson was putting the grips on them defensively, but Sasha got off to a good start here in these first two games, and that Zach Edey that we talked about, 7'4", Mount Edey. This dude is unbelievable. It's early in the college basketball season, but I'm very excited for my Purdue Boilermakers. I know Jake's a big IU fan, so we'll see how the Big Ten basketball season shakes out, because I know my guy Chubbs is a big Illinois fan, so we'll let that progress and have some fun college basketball guests on as we go forward, into the college basketball season. So again, thank you all to the new viewers last week from the Purdue show. And before I completely sign out with my shout outs, I want to give Johnny B his stage to give his official shout outs and close out his Johnny B for 3 segment, as he always does in Johnny B fashion.
All right, everybody. Congratulations to Chubbs once again. He got extra entries in because he was in on the show when we did the original debut of the second Bears Legends Duck Race. Remember, money won is far sweeter than money earned, baby. Johnny B. Peace out.
All right, Johnny B. Johnny B for 3 fame, Duck Race fame. Make sure you check him out on Twitter and YouTube all day long. Make sure you check out our website for some fun shirts. You can still get that Foles Royce shirt before it falls off the shelf.
This one's
and we can get the Cash Mooney shirt that Jake's wearing right now. You can get that in all different colors, and it's on our Teespring page. Here, I'll pull up the .com for you at the bottom of the screen. And yeah, you got some fun shirts on there. And of course, you can not only get some cool Bears shirts like that and the Extend AR shirt if they're ever going to give. I don't know if AR wants to extend with us, but you can get the Brags in the Stands hoodie that you see a couple of our awesome supporters wearing and even holding the mug up. So get your apparel at Brags in the Stands as I run out of the music and sign this show out. And closing time here at Brags in the Stands. We're going to be back Sunday. And guess what Sunday is, Jake?
What is Sunday?
Sunday
the Bears game.
Is my birthday, Jake.
Yeah,
Damn it,
right.
Jake.
I forgot.
So
you
make sure you tune in. I got some different ideas that I want to throw at Jake. So we'll keep you updated on those things. And really excited for Bears Packers. So we'll see what happens. But make sure you tune in. And thanks for tuning in tonight. And always, bear down.
Go Jets.
Money Mitch time. Haters not welcome.